Is it on the clicker? Okay, yeah. All right, so I call this presentation Masters of Ceremony because my lens on hip hop is really, I think of it as a body of psychological technology. It's the latest in psychological technology that was built, in the Bronx and in Brooklyn and all over New York to create a resurrection ritual that requires, initiation. And this body of psychological technology has liberation as its intent. That's the difference between hip hop and all the other kind of iterations, these corporate or money-oriented rap. Hip hop is really about liberation. And it's in the tradition of what Black people have done, all throughout this 400 years of oppression, which is storytelling and live in story and create characters that convey information to negotiate that oppression. So a good place to start is Brer Rabbit, which was the character that was kind of built to give Black people the information you need to handle any kind of situation, how to make a way out of no way. He's a trickster. He's dealing with animals that are more vicious and bigger than him, but he always finds a way to overcome. And what he does is, with his wit and intelligence, he creates word magic, which is really the roots of hip hop. He's the original glitch, and he's the glitch in the scarcity matrix. They're always trying to keep him away from, living his best life. And he finds a way, even when the wolf eats him, he'll just say some magic words, hippity hoppity hippity hop, and you never hear Brer Rabbit die, and he'll jump out in pieces and run off. And it's not a coincidence in my mind that his conversation is how hip hop started. Rapper's Delight almost is verbatim that word spell. And so in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, rappers just took that tradition and brought it to the modern world. So here you see the cover of Public Enemy, and they're in the briar patch, they're in that prison, and their characters are gonna find a way out of no way. So despite living in a hostile environment, it's still gonna take a nation of millions to hold them back. And what you see in their logo is kind of this rare richness. There's a b-boy standing in the crosshairs in that self-hug. And it becomes a hieroglyph because there's many layers of meaning. That self-hug, as you see Jam Master Jay in, is a part of a body of physical hieroglyphics that the b-boys use, that everyone from from the 70s to the 90s, everyone posed like this in front of the Apollo Theater or in the club or wherever it was. These postures, postures of power, were conveying information and projecting self-love, intelligence, defying all stereotypes and the desolate environments that they're coming from. And so, hip hop was an insurgent movement that was built in code. And this image had that code in it. It was the crosshairs and the spotlight. If you were to interpret it in English, it's America's Most Wanted. right? And being wanted in both ways, you know. It was the wanted, you know, people wanted that figure to be killed, and it also was the center of focus. So when you see that posture in Tupac in this film Juice, there's a willful embrace of death. That's what the character kind of represents, because he's an escape artist like Brer Rabbit. And it's such a powerful pose that they had to take the gun out of his hand. You know, white America had to airbrush that gun because it scared them. Because it's no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And so you see the connection between a Tupac and a Brer Rabbit to the point where he wore the rabbit ears. What's really powerful about hip hop is that, as I said, it's a psychological technique. So even when Pac wasn't thinking about it, he was Brer Rabbit. And he comes out of, you know, he calls himself an outlaw. That's what Brer Rabbit was, an outlaw figure. And when you're really an MC, and when you really are resonating on a mythic level, you tap into the imagery and the resonance that's timeless, and that goes beyond just the moment you're in. So Tupac was that kind of MC. You know, he becomes the man in the crosshairs. In his last album, he's on the cross, and he has the rabbit ears, and he becomes the resurrection figure. You know, and here we are, you know, Easter, where rabbits and Christ, you know, find the meeting point. And when you're an artist on the level of Hype Williams, resurrection, it becomes a theme. And Jay-Z takes his turn as a resurrection figure. In this 99 Problems, he is killing off Jay-Z to become a new version of himself. And when that resonance is that thick, it repeats itself over and over again. So here's Kanye in a mask, here's Kendrick in the N95 video, here's Lil Nas X, all playing on the resurrection theme. And it becomes prophetic. So Biggie wears the double Jesus piece, and then becomes a double martyr when he and Tupac are killed 6 months apart. And because death is so close to us, especially during the 90s, 80s, you see death visit that ritual space that hip hop creates over and over and over again. So Kodak Black has that cross, you know, in his face, and there's T-Pain with the Papa Gay look, and Flavor Flav and 911 is a joke, is jumping out of caskets. You know, in all Haitian ritual, voodoo ritual, the God comes and takes over your body. And this is the psychological techniques that hip hop has created. And Gay Day was there from the beginning. So here is a still from Blondie's Rapture, one of the first videos ever, and Gay Day was there, and the Haitian women are dancing behind Deborah Harry. I wonder if she knew exactly what was going on at the time. But Kodak, being a Haitian, he makes it explicit. And the other Haitian hip-hop artist, Jean-Michel Basquiat, also runs in the theme of the willful embrace of death. This one, his painting called Riding Death. And, you know, another resurrection figure, ODB, also comes out of the tomb and the womb, and his operatic battle with shame is another theme that hip-hop really does. So instead of a welfare card being something that you hide, he made it his album cover. And because of that, the resonance strikes hard, and this mural still is untouched. No one will ever touch this because he's that important to the community. And that idea of, rising from obscurity, rising out of the dust is one of the prime motivators of graffiti. So you have K. Slay writing his name on the train, and this is Case 2, one of my favorite figures in all of hip hop, who starred in Star Wars, and he said one of the greatest lines ever. He said he'd come out of prison and suddenly he saw everyone doing graffiti. He said, "Man, niggas is writing their name big." That keys in on that prime motivator for graffiti artists and writers. And here you see on the right these zombie buildings in LA that they, it's political corruption and real estate greed that made it so that these buildings would never be finished. So the LA graffiti community made it a canvas. That's what you call placing your presence on their presence. And so we come back to Basquiat and word magic. And one of the things that makes hip hop, ritual and magic is that you do what you say while you're saying it. So when, Nas says, my intellect prevails from a hanging crossword as I reinforce the frail, with lyrics that's real. He's doing what he says as he's saying. And with Basquiat, he was impressing value into his paintings by writing, money and notary and commodities and Bank of Jamaica and, for all bills, for all debts, public and private. He created value into the paintings, and now, his family owns millions of dollars worth of art that he created through those triggers. And so bringing writing into the real world, into the 3 dimensions, this is something that Ramel Z did with his mask and his armor, making letters real. It's another form of physical hieroglyphics. And when you do that, you bring everyone into that ritual space. You become a master of ceremony. And that's the insurgency that hip hop really does. It takes you out of the workaday world and into the sacred space. And when you're in that sacred space, you're not dressing to go to work or to get a job. You're dressing to create value in that ritual space, in that ceremony. So you dress for your soul, not for any other person. And that's,
I know that's right.
That's a resonance that comes from ancient sources. So when you see Slick Rick, you see the Santahini in Ghana. When you see that gold and that image of abundance, you see what Barry Michael Cooper said is talismans against poverty. You create the magic that's going to change your situation. And that creates the alchemy, because that crown on Biggie's head cost $6. But now that it's on Biggie's head with that slight tilt, it was sold for $600,000 2 years ago. And because of Baron Claiborne's art and Biggie's soulful poetry, it changed the value of that crown. And it's interesting when, women take control of their own image, because power in Ice-T's album, her power comes from the male gaze and the massive gun and the scanty bikini. But when the woman takes over her image, her power comes